Back to the Culture Call on Praise 93.3 with L. Spencer Smith. Our desire is to reach and empower the community by discussing a cross-section of relevant topics from various perspectives that are essential to its growth and interpersonal connections. Be sure to save our call-in number, 205-752-4800. Be sure to install the free Praise 93.3 app so you can send L. Spencer Smith a message or topic idea. Search for WTSK in your app store.
Tuscaloosa. This is the world premiere. Great morning, precious people. You know what time it is. That's right. It's time for your favorite talk show, The Culture Call, with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith, right here on Praise 93.3 FM, your inspiration station. Absolutely. It is the place where Tuscaloosa meets the world. That's right. And for the next 2 hours, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., we're going to be talking a little bit about everything. That's right. From society to sports, education, economics, and definitely from religion to relationships. And as always, we are here to create a safe space. That's right. To have empowering, provocative, and yes, sometimes, and I believe today is going to be one of those times again, controversial conversations. And guess what? You can call in and chat it up with us as we learn together right here on the Culture Call. Number one, want to send a super first shout out to all of our first time listeners. Listen, welcome to the CC family. I don't know how you got here. I don't know when you got here, but I am glad that you are here. You make us so much better. And so whatever you're doing, whether you're driving through our city, whether you're at work, or whether you're maybe on vacation sitting by the pool and somebody just told you, hey, you need to check this guy out. I am so super grateful for you to be a part of the CC family. And as I said on yesterday, I think I'm going to get me some t-shirts made. The CC family. I'm a part of the Culture Call family. Thank you so much for being a part. Listen, shout out number two. I want to give a big shout out to all of our faithful, consistent, regular listeners. You have made us the number one talk show in our market. Listen, and we could not have done that without you. Your consistency. Every day you're encouraging me to continue to do what I do and make sure that I am always on point. Hey, because you know that's what we do here at the Culture Call, doing the best for our community, making sure that we're not late, last, or lost. We definitely could not do that without you. And as always, number three, we give it up for the inimitable. That's right. The anointed, the awesome Brother Jay, who leads us from 5 a.m. all the way to the 10 a.m. hour, passing me this hot baton. I'm telling you, he is on fire in the mornings, and he gives us an opportunity to do what we do. He's a wonderful coach and mentor, navigating me through this radio world. I'm telling you, his experience and his journey has inspired me to continue to do what I do. So we give him a big shout out, and all of the great programming right here at Praise 93.3 and 790 WTSK. Listen, I want to encourage you, if you have not done so already, as I do every morning, go ahead to your app store and make sure that you're downloading that app. That's right. Whether it's an Apple or Android, go out and search Praise 93.3. Go ahead. It's free 99. It doesn't cost you a thing. Download it on your phone or your smart device, and you can hear us from all around the world. I definitely know that we are national. Yeah, I'm telling you. So wherever you are, whether you are in Dallas, Texas, whether you are in Phoenix, Arizona, right, maybe Atlanta, Georgia, or right here in the beautiful city of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Birmingham, Montgomery, Mobile, Huntsville. You might be in Gordo, Reform, Epps, Eulogy, Bology, not Eulogy, Bology and Utah. Got those two mixed up, but listen, I am so glad and grateful that you are here listening to us today, and you can do that on our app. That's right, Praise 93. Go ahead and make sure you do that so that you won't miss any, not just the Culture Call, but any of the amazing, awesome programming right here on Praise 93 and 790 WTSK, right? Good deal. Listen, I want you to go ahead and email me your events or your announcements. I need you to do that at culturecall.praise@gmail.com. Yeah, that's culturecall.praise@gmail.com. gmail.com and give me an opportunity to let Lottie, Dottie, and everybody know the amazing things that you're doing with your church, your organization, your sorority, your fraternity, whether you're an artist getting ready to have a concert or release your first album, or maybe, just maybe, you're a pastor or preacher getting ready to do a revival or start a church. We want to let everybody know the wonderful and awesome things that you are doing to empower our community always. We want you to do that, right? You know why? We want to put some faces in the place so that people will know that what you're doing is so very important. You know why? Because we do it better when we do it together. And as always, you can save this number, 205-752-4800. That's 205-752-4800. Give us a call in and let us know how you are enjoying the show. I'm telling you, it's we say so much, and sometimes the phones are ringing and I can't get to them, but you keep a calling, you know? You keep calling because you make the difference. I love to hear from you. I want you to be a part of the conversation. That's 205-752-4800. Do me a favor. Go to our social media page. That's right. Facebook. We're on Facebook, The Culture Call. All you have to do is press the like button. I mean, that's all you really have to do. Press the like button and make sure that you follow us. You'll get what we're talking about during the day, during the week, all of those things, important announcements. I want you to be a part of our social media family as well. Well, Bishop, what if I missed the entire broadcast? What if I didn't have a chance? I was at work, or I was driving, or I was traveling through the airport, whatever that might be. Listen, we are on Apple Podcasts, Culture Call. Not leave the article off, Culture Call, and there you will find all of our past episodes and conversations and dialogues, and yeah, you can catch up. We say some pretty good things every day, and I don't want you to miss it, okay? Good deal. That's Apple Podcasts, Culture Call. Listen, so sit back, relax, grab you some coffee if that's your thing, from Maxwell House to Starbucks. You know how we do it. Caramel macchiato is my favorite, but I'm not doing coffee right now. I'm switching to herbal tea. Chamomile if you're trying to calm down, or green tea if you're trying to get a little caffeine kick to make it through the day. Listen, and y'all, I have discovered something. A friend of mine called me and told me about hibiscus tea. That's right. Hibiscus. It's a red tea. I'm telling you. Yeah, you need to get that, especially if you're dealing with high blood pressure problems, challenges. Go ahead and get that, and let's get that in check. Maybe you don't like tea at all, but listen, get you some spring water, some alkaline water. Essentia is my water. I love it. Go ahead, wake those cells up, detox that body, let it know that we're getting ready to have a great day, and come on, let's get into the culture. So listen, y'all, it has been a crazy week, starting from Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, here we are on Wednesday, hump day, and I'm telling you, y'all, politics, religion, it's been crazy. We want to continue our thought process on public policy versus personal theology. We really want to talk about that because there is a tremendous convergence that's going on in our country right now, and we've got to pay attention. That's right. That there is Christian nationalism. So many people are utilizing and hijacking really our faith in Christianity and trying to use it to advance their political agenda. And of course, tonight, President Biden is going to be on talking about the reasons he stepped down. I'm very interested in that. You should tune in. I think that's going to end a lot of conspiracy theories, because when people are not privy to the truth, they will believe a lie or create a conspiracy that will advance or will, foundate their suspicions and skepticism. So tune in tonight. It's going to be, I'm sure, powerful, impactful TV. Yeah, but this whole idea of religion and theology and policy. We've been talking about, beginning on yesterday, so many things we can talk about, with President Biden endorsing, Vice President Kamala Harris to be the presidential nominee. So many people are, already obfuscating, confusing people, and depending on what stripes you're from and what village you're listening to, saying that America is not ready for a black woman to be the president. Well, they weren't ready for a black man, but we did that. And I think it is important to understand that as we go along, that we the people make the difference. We have to make the decision on who will be our leader. And as people of faith, I think that's very important. Because simply because people use Christian language or religious language does not mean that they are the God-appointed leader of a democracy, or better yet, a federal republic. How people try to posture it. I am always worried or concerned when people try to make a human leader Messiah adjacent, right? And of course, we've seen that only from one side. Nobody has said that about President Biden. Nobody said that about Barack Obama. All the way back to 2008. Nobody's saying that currently about Kamala Harris. But the GOP side, I've just got to call a thing a thing. They are trying to add some level of deification to Trump. And to us, for us, who are people of faith and believers, that right there should be an indicator of what not to align ourselves with. Because when you're making that kind of radical religious iconography, when you're trying to make that person who if by all measures does not even amount to characteristically what Christ was and who Christ and who Jesus is, anything biblical that when you try to make a level of statue out of that and a level of divineness and say this is God's appointed person, and we do that, they do that again from political perspective to divide and to utilize, again, our faith to vote for their interests. So we'll use our faith to vote against our interests. Now, let me say something about that because I think that's very important. Because we're taught in church to utilize faith to believe for, our interest, our health, our well-being, our belief in God. According to Hebrews 11:6, he that comes to him must believe that he is and that he is rewarder of him that diligently seek him. The head part of that, the head spring of that particular text in verse 6 is it is for without faith it is impossible to please God. And so it is the manipulation of our faith, as I told you even on yesterday, that we in this country have not seen authentic Christianity, because by the time that it reaches the new world, which is what America is, it has already been tainted, manipulated, and added so much underlining ideology from politics. Constantine, right? Partnering with the ecclesia, partnering with the church and creating this whole idea of Roman Catholicism and all of these different kinds of things. And of course, I don't want to brandish off into any level of castigation, but the reality is that our faith is often used against us. To vote against our table issues, our day-to-day operations in the name of rightness, not righteousness, but rightness masquerading as righteousness. So you get people say, well, if you vote this way, you can't be a Christian. If you vote this way, you can't be this and can't be that. Well, see, the issue is that Jesus never came to establish religion. He came to establish relationship. Right? And that relationship was not us standing in our own perspective of moral goodness and or ethical badness our own ability to determine rightness as it was in the tree, which is serpentine theology, did God say kind of piece, but to ascend and to acquiesce and to admit that by ourselves we could never be right. By ourselves we could never be holy. By ourselves we could never be counted as righteous. But we are the righteousness of God through Christ. And that is not via a religion. That is via a personal relationship that each and every one of us establishes based upon a revelation or an experience with a very deep and personal theology, understanding and study and knowledge of God, right? All of us have various experiences where God has been introduced to us and we have come to know him. And so we should take a great affront about any people, black, white, red, yellow, utilizing our faith as a political prop, right? To promulgate some public agenda that they may and or may not have. I think that's very important. And so we've got to pay attention. And so what long that this Americanized system have recognized, especially about our people. Come on, I'm talking about chocolate people. Culture Call, I'm talking about us. What they have recognized is that we are very deeply spiritual. They recognize that from Africa, when we were in Africa, that we are very spiritual people, very in tune to the divine. We did not have the same language and the same kind of vernacular and religious vocabulary and context that they did. And so they demonized our spirituality from a very organic sense, right? And then gave us the political, ideological brand of Christianity that they wanted us to live by. And so I think that's very important. We see a lot of that playing out today. And how, our personal theology is being used to assign certain public theologies that are antithetical to biblical teaching. And as I told you, that the greatest attribute of God that we have, that we possess from the very beginning, I'm talking about the beginning in terms of creation, was being in his image, in his likeness, and that is self-will, our personal sovereignty, choice. Choice is the very most powerful thing that we have, because choice is the beginning of relationship. That we are not in any kind of relationship except we choose to be. Right? That it cannot be love or family unless we choose it. And any person that robs us from the particularity of our choice needs to be tremendously side-eyed, Culture Call, because guess what? They're trying to control the very divine aspect of who we are. They're trying to control the measure and the means by which we come to know God, by which we come to know of the spiritual essence of Jehovah, of Yahweh, of Elohim, the very spiritual essence by which we attain unto salvific grace, right? When you take away my choice and you say, I've got to be a believer. I've got to do things that Christians do without there being any introduction to light or any elucidation or me coming to any knowledge, or any person, not just me personally, but any person coming to knowledge of the fullness of God through Jesus Christ. That is witchcraft. That is manipulation. That is control. And we got to call a thing. Right? That people who do not know Jesus are still people that God created. Let me back up again, because I don't want you to miss that. That people who don't know Jesus are still people, come on, that God created. Our job as believers, yes, is to do what Paul did, the Apostle Paul did to King Agrippa. That we share the gospel, we share the message, we share the love, right? And persuade them to give their lives to Christ. That is the message of the gospel, right? It is not by force. It is not by force. To do that by force pollutes what faith in God is, and pollutes our theology, pollutes our personal testimonies of him, because I did not come to know him via relationship. I have been restricted unto this. I have been brought under the law. And so we've got a country right now via Christian nationalism that puts God on the same level of country, or better yet, the country on the same level of God. Right? That I've got to love the country and protect it and do it even by force. Yes, in order for people to line up with God's will and God's way. That is not biblical, Culture Call. I want to say that. I don't care what any pastor says. I don't care what any leader says. It is not our job to go out and force people. No, it is not us to use the governmental administration to use the public policy marketplace. None of that. It is not our assignment to go and force people to be what the change or to acknowledge a change that has not happened, to live according to a change that has not happened, right? Until a man is changed, he can't live under the righteousness of God, period. He has to choose to change, right? But my brother and sister are still those who don't believe like me. Just because my neighbor is a Muslim or a Buddhist does not mean that I want someone to murder them or to kill them. No. My job is to create relationship with them and then share my faith to and listen to their journey to see where I can find an entrance for them to believe in Jesus Christ, right? And ultimately develop a relationship with him and a relationship with God, right? That's very important. Now, I wanted to take the long way around for this conversation because I need all of us to understand that this is the basis for the conversation, especially the political conversation that we're going to have today. And I talked to you about, the greatest deception that's happening right now in this political year, in this governmental year, is against black men. Right? And that's by memes and all of that. And I told you that's because black men, by and large, they crave adjacency to whiteness. And again, we've been explaining this to you, but I'll do it again. Whiteness is not white people. Whiteness is the systemic structure that causes people or causes our systems of control and manipulation. If I get close to the system, right? If I become a house slave to the system, then the system will look on me favorably and will not penalize me like others, right? And so the exchange that I give for that level of proximity is my own identification with my people, my own community. If I give up my identity as a black man and the struggle of my people, and I start, rehearsing and barking out what the institution says, what whiteness says, then they'll look favorably on me. They will keep me in the house and not put me in the field. But the exchange there, you have to deny so much moral consciousness in order to be that. But there is an onslaught on social media. There's an onslaught, especially in the financial sector, economic sector, in the criminal sector, telling them that all Democrats want to do is put you in jail. No, that's not true, because they know it's easier to believe something you see on social media than to research and study. This is a low research generation and a very high information age. But all information is not truth. All information that you receive, my brother, my sister, Culture Call, is not the truth. And I remember my daddy says that a truth will run all around the world before the lie will run all around the world before the truth even puts the shoes on, right? Absolutely. Because it's easier to believe a lie, because a lie, the whole objective is to subjugate yourself and divorce yourself from consciousness and conscientiousness. It's to walk away from your conscience, right? It is to mask your true identity, to fall in line, to protect yourself, right? And you'll do that as like Malcolm X says, by any means necessary, right? That's important to know. And I want to talk about this on this faith-filled station, this inspiration station, because I want you to know that in this coming days, that your faith is going to be manipulated. It is. Your faith, my faith, is going to be challenged. It is going to be challenged. From the whole idea, can women lead? Her being too liberal, we're being too liberal. You know, we need to send somebody to hell. We're not standing up for Christian Judeo ethics. You have to understand, Christian Judeo ethics had us swinging from trees in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Had us serving plantations in the name of God. I'm talking about this Judeo-Christian ethic that this country says. So you need to understand that faith has always been that way. And I did a tremendous, I at least tried to do a tremendous job yesterday, just kind of laying some arguments out that I know are going to come in the coming days. You got to pay attention to that. And I'm that dude that's not going to let you be late, last, or lost. I'm going to tell you like it is. I'm going to call a thing a thing. And so in order to do that, we cannot be afraid, Culture Call, to learn, to unlearn, and then relearn, and then fashion our lives in a different way. It's okay, right? And so, you know, there's going to be a whole list of things, because what is happening right now, that they're going to tell you something about her, but are not going to say anything about his 34 convictions, his moving away and buying judges and putting place so that he can escape any kind of legal responsibility for all of the things he's done, right? And watch whiteness work. Watch it work. Then he gets a Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas that says, and he's immune from anything he's done in an official act. And so, you know, now we are clear that calling Georgia, you know, is not an official act. And asking him to find votes is not an official act. It's not. It's not. No president has done that ever before as a part of the official act. You know, hiding the fact that you slept with a porn star while your wife was pregnant is not before you were even president, is not an official act. No. You know, raping a woman is not an official act. That happened before you even got into politics. No, those are not official acts, but they're setting it up to make him a king. And that is dangerous. That is dangerous. We're treading on, because you do know once this democracy turns into a monarchy, you do understand that then you have no more choice. You have no more freedom. They just told you he can say anything he wants to say when he becomes president, kill anybody and put anybody in jail just because he wants to. As an official act, it cannot be adjudicated. It cannot be overturned. You got to see this, y'all. You got to see this. Because number one, he doesn't have a heart after God. Right? God spoke to Israel and said they wanted a king like the rest of the nations. And the prophet told them, that's not what you want. Listen, y'all, that's not what we want. No, absolutely. I want at least to have a government in place civically that can hear me as a citizen of this country, that can hear me, that can hear my opinion and hear my vote and hear my choice. Right? I don't want to be under somebody who is twisted, who is controlled by their own interest and pocketbook, and let them control my wife, my children, my grandchildren, my church, my everything. You know, what churches don't understand is that if anybody speaks truth to power and power to and truth in power, that they can come and take your church because it's an official act. They don't understand that. Good Reverend Doctor, you got to understand that. Yeah. You got to understand that. And who is that going to affect primarily? Black and brown churches. Because who is the social consciousness of America? Black and brown churches. Predominantly. Now, there are others that speak from the social context. But primarily, Yeah, black and brown people are going to be the ones that have to stand up and say, hey, no, absolutely. No, this is wrong. That's how we got free in the first place. That's what happened in the civil rights movement. Even prior to that, it was the church. But when you see it over, already, if you say anything against him, he can have your church shut down and removed. And there would not be a single solitary thing you and I could do about it. Some people say, well, that's never going to happen. That's never, okay, whatever. I personally am not willing to take that chance just for somebody to give me a stimulus check. I am not willing to take that chance just for somebody to be kowtowing to somebody else. I'm not. And I know you're not either, Culture Call. So we're going to have this conversation, day number 2 of talking about public policy and personal theology and what that looks like. What that looks like from a perspective of how we engage in this civic time and to fill our civic responsibility as civilians. How do we render this? How do we render our service to Caesar? Render under Caesar what is Caesar's, render under God what is God's. How do we do that and not compromise our authority or our belief system? I think that's very important. Listen, there's so much more to come. We're going to be having a great conversation today, and I don't want you to miss it. This is yours truly, L. Spencer Smith, right here on the Culture Call. Yeah, that's right. Praise 93.3, 790 WTSK. There's much more to come. I need you to lock in.
This is the world premiere.
And we are back right here on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith. Praise 93.3, 790 WTSK. We are having an amazing conversation. Our continuation of the discussion of public policy versus personal theology and the convergence of how we really make this as believers. Our duty, our civic duty, how do we make it work in this country without manipulation, without using our faith to literally take other people's choice and freedoms away from them? Faith was never designed to do that. So that's our discussion today. And I'm sure as you're listening that, I hope that I am sparing thought. I'm hoping and I'm praying that I am at least causing you to think about some things. Some important things. You know why? Because if we don't think about it, it'll just somebody else will think about it for us. That's basically the primary thing that I want to say, that if we don't think about it, somebody is going to think about it for us. Absolutely. And so in the continuation of our conversation, that how we utilize our faith and apply it to our responsibility as citizens without the issue or the feeling of compromise is that it's a very nuanced, if I can say that. I know you want to make it black and white, but life is lived in gray. That's the reality. Life is lived in gray. And when you don't understand that, you don't know how to deal with family members, co-workers, people who you meet on the street, people who are of other persuasions, other faiths, other beliefs, right? Because you come into a relational context in this world that I'm already right? And the way that I see it is the way that it must be because, of course, I have the superior position called Christianity. And I think that's very important for us to understand that just because we have belief, just because we have faith, does not mean that we are better than anyone else. That just means that we're different. Now, the difference is better, but not in terms of that we've made it, but it does not make us better than them. It just means for our own life, it has made it that Christ is better for us, right? But it does not mean that I'm required some supreme place. No, doesn't mean that it will alleviate us from any kind of bad things or negative things happening. No, it rains on the just as well as the unjust, right? And so it's that notion that yes, I can be a citizen and consider others without diminishing my personal theology, my relationship, right? That I can see someone who has been caught in the act of adultery and I've never been in an adulterous situation but I can have compassion on that person and not, damn them to hell, not kill them, not pick up a stone. Because where they failed in one area, I'm sure if you looked at my life, guess what? I failed in an area too. So that's very important. And so I know Christians in America are not necessarily taught from that perspective, right? And the idea, it becomes ultimately whose theology will prevail, right? One of the things that I learned in school, and I still believe it, that the God of those who were above the boat was different than the God of those who were underneath the boat. Did y'all get that? That the God of the slave owners could not be the same God of those who were underneath the boat. You see what I'm saying? The slaves, those who were willing even to jump off the ship to die in the sea, right? So, yeah, I think that's very important. Now, if you don't get that, if you don't have that kind of consciousness and watch this, and here's the big question, y'all, not question, but here's the big idea, that God could be both the God of those who are on top of the boat and God who is underneath the boat, right? But here it is. God looks at every man's personal theology when it comes to judgment. You see what I'm saying? Personal theology, because there could have been somebody on the boat, on the top of the boat, that was kindly affectioned to the slaves, right? And there could have been somebody under the boat, although they were slaves, could have had a wicked heart toward God, right? So that the issue is, it's not for us to choose. We are not the deciding factor. And so I think that if we don't understand that, if we don't get an understanding of it's not ours to adjudicate other people, then we can come into the space of civic awareness, civic responsibility and obligation, not just from a churchy or a political religious sense, but as that person, I don't know their life, but I do know this: they deserve to live. They deserve to have a chance to recover. That they deserve to have a chance to meet Jesus. They deserve to have a chance to have the message of the gospel preached and to see it demonstrated with all of the love and compassion and care. They deserve to see the standard of one's life who lives on a personal relationship with Christ, right? That they're not doing as I say, but they have the opportunity to use my life as a living epistle read of all men. So that's very important as we have this conversation. And if we don't understand it or understand that, I think we need to go back to Sunday school, or better yet, we need to have it taught appropriately, because right now it ain't, the math ain't mathing like the kids say. It's not mathing like it needs to, right? And so, I want us to bring us into that perspective. I want to vector off, though. I just want to make sure that we understand, as Christians, what I am not asking you to do is to compromise. I am not asking you to compromise on any standard, any kind of moral value or aptitude that you've set for yourself. I don't want you to contradict your faith or what you believe your faith is. What I am, however, telling you is maybe you and I are not the standard, that my life and your life is not the standard by which we judge other people. Neither are our own biblical interpretations, right? There are people today that don't believe that women can wear pants as a matter of their personal theology. Now, I know right now who's listening to me, there's some of you got on pants, right? Those people would send you to hell. Are you going? Absolutely not. Are they right? Absolutely not. But guess what? That's their personal theology, and they won't let you in their church, in their clique, in their group. And my question is, why would you want to go? Because I'm not going to go to a place where my personal theology is going to dishonor your personal theology, right? I'm not going to go into a place and, not cut my hair, and because all of y'all got bald heads. I'm not going to go into a place. That was literally a man on television, on social media, a clip of him saying that you're not a true apostolic if you have a beard. So you got a bunch of these barefaced men. Oh my goodness. You got a whole lot going on, and barefaced men telling men with beards on their faces. And currently right now, you probably even before then, I would be castigated. I would be, I don't have no anointing. I'm hellfire and brimstone. I'm wicked because I have a beard, right? Not understanding that if you read the Bible, that Nazarites, part of Samson's issue was that he allowed his hair to be cut. That if you saw Jesus back in the day, according to their cultural tradition, he had a beard. Right? So what are they saying? Where did they even get this from? See, a lot of times we can have man's ideology mixed in with personal theology. Then we create a denomination and then a sect, and then we get other people and convince them by the dribble and by the errant teaching that we subscribe to, and we try to make everybody do what we want them to do in the name of our own perspective or the name of our own perceived or contrived righteousness. And so that's what's going on in America right now, and has been going on, but you're going to see it, that they are willing to forgive Trump. They're willing to forgive him and all of the deeds he has done, to anoint him and to symbolically place a crown on his head as the coming Messiah, I guess, right? But they want to hold everybody else to a point of hellfire and brimstone that doesn't, you don't want to forgive anybody else. I mean, literally, this guy was going back and forth because, again, I don't debate. I will discuss, but I don't debate. This guy was going back and forth with me about, Kamala did this, Kamala did that, and all of it was false. And then we brought up, because other people we brought up, well, Trump did XYZ, or the black people and XYZ. Well, why you just can't get over that, and why you got to remember that? Wait a minute. You see, it's a dichotomy. It's a false dichotomy. It is a two-facedness. It is a double-mindedness. It is a preferential treatment that James tells us not to have. And culture call, we got to start thinking. We got to start thinking when people come with stuff like that, because they're going to come. They're going to come and try to say, well, we ain't this and we're not that because we believe certain X, Y, Z. No, sir. No, ma'am. That's not how that works. That is not how that works. Not at all. Right? So we've got to do what we got to do. We've got to do it. We've got to be like Bereans and study to show ourselves approved. We've got to be like those who understand exactly what we're talking about. My faith, your faith, is not to make America a theocracy. No. Matter of fact, I hope that, listen, I know this ain't the place where Jesus is going to come back and stay and make this his. I just know it. It can't be. Right? I know of supremacy and all this of nativism, nationalism, poverty. I know this ain't it. So, and some people say, well, like the Bible say, the kingdom suffers violent and the violent take by force. Well, see, what Jesus meant in that text in Matthew, he was talking about the whole idea of the kingdom of God being bum rushed by people who didn't even know it existed. This is their first time. He says from the time of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of God suffers violence and the violent take it by force. What he meant was that there is such an eager, voracious anticipation to enter into the things of God, the operation to know the things of God, that people are bombarding it. That wasn't even a text of warfare. That wasn't a militaristic text. You see? And again, but when you take things and don't understand the language, you don't understand the culture, you don't understand the symbolism, You'll take it and run. Take it by force. And listen, admittedly, I preached it that way until I studied it out, looked at the Greek words. He's not saying, the kingdom of God is something that we got to take, or the kingdom on earth is something that Christians got to take by force. No. See, as black and brown people, we already knew that this world is not our home. We already knew that. Right? Jesus said, my kingdom is not of this world, because if it was, listen, all of my servants would fight for it. But no, I'm telling them to put up the sword, because they that live by the sword will what? Die by the sword, Culture Call. Don't allow your understanding of God to be twisted in this season or ever. And I'm not just saying that because it is a political season. I'm saying that because it is truthful. It is true. Don't allow yourselves to be put in a place and or a position whereby you and I are simply, making ourselves look crazy because of what people deem to think about how we should take over. That's not what he meant. And we certainly don't use the American government to do that. Absolutely not. No. If anything, we use prayer. Anything we use fasting. Anything we use is the gospel. We share the word of God with people. We live a life. That's the way that we do that. Absolutely. You see what I'm saying? I know you do, because that's the way this thing really unfolds. That's the way it really unfolds. And if we don't do it like that, we're going to have a bunch of people that are back in chains in their minds. It's going to be, they don't want to put people in bondage, as it were, as so much as they want to put people in the captivity that they are in. Bondage has to do with everything to do with physical characteristic, the physical nature of subjugation. Bondage has everything to do with the mental subjugation. It was Egyptian bondage, but Babylonian captivity, right? Because in Babylon, they sought to change their minds. In Egypt, I want to control your body. You see what I'm saying? It's a difference. There is a difference. And we need to pay attention to that. And we don't need to allow any person, place, and or thing to make us feel like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? My job is not, let me say this again. My job is not to make anyone feel, like I am a plantation master and they've got to do what I say do and see the world and see ethics and see morality like I see it. No. If God is not nervous, why are we? If Jesus is not offended by the woman caught in adultery, the woman at the well, if he's not offended, why are we so offended? Why are we so offended? You see, because when you're offended, watch this, offended people can't help people out of the offense, out of their trap, out of their bondage, because you're so offended at what they do that you never see who they really are. And I'm praying that our country, I say this earnestly, I'm praying that our country really opens up its eyes and begins to see and acknowledge and recognize what our place, especially the people of faith, what our place is in the public square. Right? Right. I don't want us to fall behind in that. Right? Because many people are going to be late, last, and lost if we do that. And we cannot afford to do that, especially in the black community. We've got to stand up for all people. Right? We got to stand up for all people. All. ALL. Absolutely, Culture Call. We've got to stand up for our brothers and sisters who don't believe like we believe. And that is Christ-like. And that is godly. Read the text. Read the text. Let's begin to see exactly what our place is in the public square and not make folks do. Listen, you've been trying to get your kids to do right for years and they ain't done it yet, but you still love them. You still feed them. They drunk. They're addicted. But when they come over for a meal, what do? Still cook for them Amen. I know I'm right. Absolutely. Listen, we got to take a break, but listen, this is the Culture Call with yours truly, Bishop L. Spencer Smith, right here on Praise 93.3 FM and 790 WTSK. We've got so much more to come. I need you to keep it right there. Get your little snack. Hey, I don't need you to miss it, okay? Be right back.
WTSK Tuscaloosa.
Hey everybody, it's time for Culture Call. Yeah. Hey everybody, it's time for Culture Call with them.
And we are back. It's the top of the hour right here, 11 a.m. and some change on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith, Praise 93.3. And we have been having an amazing day. Absolutely. Want to welcome all of you who have missed the first hour, but you're here at the 11 o'clock, the second hour. And I'm grateful to have you on board. We've been having an amazing day, a very honest conversation about faith in politics, and especially in the dynamics of what is going on currently right now and how things are being framed. I think it's very important for us to articulate that conversation. I'm going to be having and creating public forums to talk about politics, to talk about the convergence of theology and faith and religion in the months to come. I want to get us through the summer months, but we're going to have that conversation. I'm going to invite you, and once I put it up online, I want you to be a part of that, so that you can come and ask questions. It won't just be me, but it will be theologians, it will be politicians, it will be those who operate and work in public theology, like Martin Luther King, like Samuel DeWitt Proctor, like Reverend Dr. William Barber, so many other people who work in the space of public theology. And giving us the understanding, I think is very important and critical, especially those of us who live in Alabama, that is coined a red state. And so sometimes as black and brown people, our voting, especially on the federal level, is somewhat symbolic. But I wholeheartedly believe that if we change to Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, in the civil rights era, I believe that there is a change, a revival of change that is still in our bloodline, that's still in our bones, that we can do. We've just got to wake up our community. We've got to wake up a new generation, that has been disconnected, number one, from the church and government, that they have garnered so much information that they don't know how to discover and research for truth. I think that's very important. And we've got to be able to confront some of the hard questions and hard conversations that, you know, this generation needs to ask about immigration. Yes, about abortion and a woman's autonomy over her body. About, you know, prison systems, about the whole idea of taxation, about poverty, about education, about healthcare. We need to ask and have conversations that we can ask and hold in a safe space that does not demean, but gives us the exact information that we need. Whether we come in that space knowing it prior to that, or we can be, you know, enlightened and elucidated when we arrive. That's the kind of space that I'm going to create. So you guys, Culture Call family, you all be on the lookout for that. That's going to be coming really soon. And also we're really going to definitely have the voter registration drives, making sure even you need to start that now, because unfortunately there are states, and I hate to say it, southern states, that are trying to find a way to disenfranchise voters. And this is what I tell young people, that they would not be trying to disenfranchise you if your vote was not important. That when there is low voter turnout, right, then that means the conservative issue wins. And of course, we know conservative issues. The question becomes is, what are you trying to conserve? American values. But do you know where I fall as a people, where we fall in the terms of American values and what the values of America has done to black and brown people? Is that what we want? When you say make America great again, when is that? Where was that? I mean, for real. When was that? During segregation, during redlining, doing all these, lynching, all of these things and tactics, the school to prison pipeline, mass incarceration, drug addiction and poverty in our neighborhoods. I mean, for us, when has America been great? And I think that we've got to ask our civic leaders if they will come. Tell us when. Tell us exactly if you're supporting that ideology, if you're supporting that framework of understanding. And I'm not just talking about white folks. I'm talking about black people who support that. If you support that, then make us understand this MAGA system. Make us understand this Project 25 and how this will be so beneficial to us. Right? And the reason why I'm starting out with conversations about faith and personal theology is because I know that is where they begin to twist and confuse black people concerning their morality. They use our churchiness, our religious nature to try to twist it to go their way. Then we vote for them, or better yet, we don't vote at all. They get in power, and then you're looking like, are you serious? And it has happened time and time again. It has happened time and time again. And the reason why it happens is because no one has taken the time out to really educate us on what our responsibilities are. So we're going to have those public forums coming really soon. I just need you to tune in and stay tuned. I'm going to try to get my dean, the dean from Samuel DeWitt Proctor School of Theology, Dr. John Guns, to come and talk. Another one of my amazing professors who has written an amazing book about race, Dr. James Henry Harris, and then some local leaders, some local pastors and local politicians, all of them. We need to come and have a conversation and not be afraid to talk to each other, right? And we need to be honest about the destructive dangers that stand on the horizon if we do not make our voices heard and our votes felt, right? The only thing, here's the reality, and here's the truth, y'all, that the only thing that's why there is a danger is because of the Electoral College. It was a gift to those who were the Confederacy. The Electoral College was a gift to the Confederacy. And it has been, and they will not overturn it. Because we'll never, I'm not going to say never, that it takes a majority in Congress to be able to change a whole lot of the laws that are antiquated that need to be changed, right? It does need to be about a popular vote, right? But then southern states will say, well, only these people will never win again. And of course, they're not going to vote against something that is against what they consider to be their own best interest. So, yeah, that part. I still think we need to have a talk about that. Culture call. So let's vector this direction. We, in August, will have running a 78-year-old white man and a 50, maybe 55, 56-year-old black woman. I think she might be 59 now. Black woman. This is a tremendous time for black women, black people at large, in general. And I expect the same way that President Obama in 2008 was castigated. And see, there's a big difference. Some people say, well, she'll never. No, you have to understand that when Barack Obama ran, he was a junior senator from Illinois. He was young in his political career when he ran from Illinois, right? He was not a commodity. Nobody knew him, even in our own community. Everybody was like, Barack, who? Who is he? What? I mean, are you serious? What? I mean, and we got to know him. So he had to spend a lot of time introducing himself to a country that did not know him, right? And so I think it's different here because Vice President Harris has, years of governmental experience, right? That she is the most experienced person in the presidential race now. Because, of course, this is another one. Trump has no governmental experience. He went from, listen to this. He went from a TV show host, right, of The Apprentice to the president. Do you hear me? Right? That is unbelievable. But that's what happened. J.D. Vance this is his second year as a senator from the state of Ohio, which he won, but he underperformed there. And so Kamala Harris, to talk about her experience, to use the word, she trumps all of them. Right? That's an operative word when it comes to experience. So she's had the experience at the local, the statewide, and the federal level of government. And, she's been the VP. And so when we talk about the reality of perhaps having the first woman and the first black woman, because she considers herself to be black, we could say biracial, Jamaican, black and Asian. There's some people that are trying to sparse that, and somebody from America, black from America, talking about, well, her father was Jamaican. I'm like, bruh, duh. I was just in Jamaica. They are black. I promise you they are. I promise you they are. They are also victims, just as we are, of the African transatlantic slave trade. They are victims as well. They just landed in the Caribbean. And our ancestors, be that as it may, so far as we know, landed in the Americas, right? And so that's very important, but they all come from Africa. We all come from the same place. Right? And so I thought that was a ridiculous argument on its face. But, some people got to make it. So, Culture Call, I'm here to set the record straight that, yes, Jamaicans are black. When I go over there, they treat me like a brother and sister. You couldn't, any difference, right? It's important. And so we this whole idea of the times in which we live and what it really means for us to have the opportunity to present ourselves in this kind of way is absolutely amazing. I'm sitting here even thinking about, I wish my mom and my dad were alive, just to see this opportunity. They were alive with Barack Obama, but I wish my mom, as a black woman, a strong black woman, could see the opportunity that presents us. And I know that there are many in our community as well, but all over the country that says, well, America is not ready for a black woman. Well, America wasn't ready for a black man. And that happened. And so, and they said, well, Trump was the result of Barack Obama. No, Trump was not the result of that. No, because by and large, popular-wise, Hillary won. If it was not for James Comey, it would have been President Hillary Clinton, right? So he pulled something in the last hour, all of that. And that was before they normalized Trump. But we're looking at a pedophile. We're looking at a convicted felon. We're looking at a prime obfuscator. We're looking at a man who has cheated and considered bankruptcy. We've seen him lead. So, yeah, we've seen him lead. We've seen her lead, and the choice is clear, right? The choice was not clear with Hillary. Right? In terms of seeing each other lead as president. But we have seen this person, Kamala Harris, is the vice president of the United States. Right? Trump has been the president. And so there are records there. And I don't need us to ignore the record, right? That's very important. But I want to push into something because, again, I make it no mistake. I make it no, I'm not embarrassed about it, that I am a pro-women in leadership. I'm a pro-woman to fulfill their agency, to have autonomy over their body. I grew up in a family of healthy, educated, leading women that were not Jezebeling or Aunt Estering their man. My dad, my granddad, were not Woodrows or King Ahabs. No, they were strong men as well. And I saw how they honored and respected their husbands, but I also saw in their places. My grandmother was a principal. My mom was a principal, a pastor, all of those things. I saw how they functioned in leadership. And but I also saw the insecurity that was founded by biblical interpretation and eisegesis of women in leadership. And so I saw that there was a ceiling placed over their heads, not allowing them to achieve certain spaces and places of authority and leadership, because they looked at it as, the interpreters, men to be exact, looked at it as usurping the authority of a man. Well, when you read the text, because I'm the text guy. When you read the text, it was a wife should not usurp the authority over her husband. Well, I don't believe any woman should disrespect her husband. I don't believe that. I believe that a husband and a wife are co-partners. I believe that when Paul said that the husband is the head of the wife, that's not a political position. That is a position of vision. That is a position of idea. That is a position of, yes, the responsibility, because man was created first, male man, in terms of created first, that God gave him instruction, of which, by the way, you can put all the fault on Eve if you want to. But if you read the text, the Bible says Adam was right there. And Adam could have really, straightened it out, but he didn't. And so when God came looking, God didn't ask about Eve. God says, Adam, where art thou? Let's get it right. Right? But when you are a secure man and know who you are, a woman can be in any position of leadership and you not feel threatened by her agency, by her intellect, by her ability to navigate certain issues and waters, right? It's important. And every wise woman, as was the judge Deborah in the scripture, would also get a commanding man to be right next to her, because the whole idea was what? Let them have dominion. Let them be fruitful. Let them multiply. There was a themness. There was a complement. There was a togetherness that God blessed initial creation. So there should be no kind of insecurity unless you're undelivered and you need to be delivered. There was no kind of, situation going on there with regards to inadequacy, or, Adam did not have an inadequacy with Eve. He didn't. And I think that's exactly why when she gave it to him, he ate it as well and not question her, because he wasn't functioning in a position of headship. You need to understand, political headship was a result of the fall. Read it, Genesis chapter 3. It's right there. And so, I believe, you don't have to believe it. I believe that women can be pastors. I believe that women can be leaders. And some of the thing is that now the black church is in a dichotomy, especially in traditional conservative spaces, because there are denominations that don't believe in women in leadership, at least in prime levels of leadership that they think should be occupied by a man, right? But here's the deal. In monarchy, the queen has just as much power as the king. It was Queen Elizabeth that lived. You see what I'm saying? It might be King Charles now, but it was Queen Elizabeth for all of those years. In the African kingdom, it was queens. And there was you don't hear of any kind of insecurity among men. You see what I'm saying? So we've got to understand and be able to articulate exactly what's going on here. Where is that nervousness coming from? Again, as I say, it is a subjugation from European Western theology or Western ideology that dominates and subjugates women. I said on yesterday, and I'm going to say it again, that there are no laws that subjugate or try to run the bodies of men. Nothing says, no law says anything what he can do with his genitalia, how many women he can sleep with, none of that. But it's all against the woman. And of course, again, you gotta see some level of ethical concern there, because nobody's stopping Viagra, nobody's stopping Cialis, nobody's stopping condoms, none of that. None of it. Nobody in this country. The unfortunate thing is that they coddle the rapist more than they coddle the one that is raped. Oh, well, that's an unfortunate situation, but she's still got to keep the baby. Really? How can men say that? We never carried a baby. Right? So men are adjudicating the well-being and the agency of women. And that should be problematic for all of us. I know as a pastor, it is problematic for me. Because I don't want them, if my wife got in a situation where, God bless, we are past the age now of having children. But when she was at the age of having children and the baby was had a medical concern and, it was going to be either the baby who had this medical concern or my wife's life, I want to be able to sit down with my wife and say, babe, I choose you. I don't know this little baby. We can have another baby, but I can't get another you. You see, and I'm not willing to let you die and raise a child by myself as a dad. A child that I don't know. Now, again, that's not an easy conversation, but it is an ethical conversation. Now, as a mother, she's going to be like, well, let my child live and let me die. I'm like, whoa. No. But see, that's a very personal decision. I don't want the Alabama Senate or the Alabama House or the House of Representatives or the Senate of the United States adjudicating that for the Smith household. That personally is none of their business. None. That is between the wife of my covenant and me as the husband of her covenant. That's between our house. That's between us and our God. Right? That's not, but what they're trying to do is intervene. Now, see, conservatism will tell you and lie to you and say they believe in small government. No, they do not. No, they want to unregulate the unhealthy things or the healthy things and deregulate the unhealthy things and let it all go to hell in a handbasket and then lie to you and say, oh, this is what's best for you. No. There are no laws that says if a man rapes a woman, he is castrated. None. It's not on the books. But she must carry the baby. What is his penalty? He can deny it and say he didn't do it. So what jurisprudence is that? You see, Culture Call, we got to start thinking. And I know probably as a good Reverend Doctor that's listening to me, that's fine. You can come on the show. Please do. Let's have a conversation. Let's open up the Bible. And I'm sure my listeners would love to hear us talk about the Bible and what it really says and what it really means. Right? And so I think that's very important as we have conversations that impact the generations in which we live. Absolutely. This guy literally said, if a 10-year-old got pregnant, stop, push pause. If a 10-year-old got pregnant, is that a problem already on its face? If a 10-year-old got pregnant, that's unfortunate, but she could be carrying a blessing. See, the issue ain't the baby. See, and I think we try to mire the conversation, making us think that the issue is the baby. The issue is not the baby. The issue is a 10-year-old got raped. That is the issue. Huh? That's the issue. And anybody that doesn't have an issue with that, that's a lot. That is a lot. But that's what they're asking us to live under. They're saying that women can be beaten and and stay in a domestic violence situation, but she should stay for the kids. That no fault divorce is over. She can't leave. She's got to stay there. Who does that benefit? The abuser. Come on, y'all. No. So you're willing to let your daughter die if she marries a dude that smacks her and slaps her, right? That she has no recourse to save her own life? For what? What? Yes, the Bible says God hates divorce, but he also gave Moses an opportunity to write the bill of divorcement because of the hardness of their hearts. Come on, y'all. It's in the text. I didn't make it up. It's right there. Huh? Absolutely. And so we've got to start thinking about, women in this context. We've got to start thinking about, because women are humans too. Hello? Bro, don't start thinking from your wife. Start thinking about your daughter. A daughter. Because listen, my daughters get married and a man put their hands on them, they ain't got to get divorced, because me and my sons and my brothers, we coming in, listen, 5 and 6 the hard way. Absolutely. Bro. No, sir. I don't care what they say. See, because it makes no sense that we're even having these conversations. But there are men who are trying to control bodies. And we need to do something about that. We need to begin to make our voices known and heard and really understand what is at stake in this political season, because it's all on the ballot. Listen, this is your boy, Bishop L. Smith, right here on the Culture Call. Praise 93.3 and 790 WTSK. We got more to come. I need you to keep it right here. Don't you dare miss it.
This is the world premiere.
And we are back right here on the Culture Call with yours truly, Elspeth Smith. Praise 93.3, 790 WTSK. Having an amazing conversation today, and I hope that you are tuned in. I can feel the energy. That's what I want. I can feel that I ruffle some feathers too. It's okay. That's why I'm here. Talking about what God has anointed us to do. I think that I have been anointed to ruffle feathers, right? But listen, here is the reality though. I mean, the truth be told is that we've got to understand that this whole idea of this season, we've got to be able, part of why I want public theologians to meet more than just church theologians, because a lot of times they're different. Jesse Jackson is a public theologian, Reverend Dr. Ralph Abernathy was a public theologian. Howard Thurman, a public theologian. It's hard for theologians to really address that which is going on in the marketplace because, or in the public square because of, 501c3 issues and all of that. But they do it all the time. Whiteness allows for their institutions as long as they're favoring this whole idea of conservatism, right? Because their whole issue of Huckabee and what's my boy at Liberty University, Falwell, all of that. They're doing it right now. And a lot of the things that they're having out in the West and all of that, they're being hosted by pastors, right? First Baptist Church of Dallas. My goodness. You talk about theologians, but they're diving into that. Right? And so we around here walking on eggshells. I love, the fact that, we do have a Jamal Bryant who is, yes, a church theologian, but he's also a public theologian. I love that. I love, Dr. Freddie Haynes. I love it. Right? I love Dr. Gina Stewart. I love those people who are out there, who are, Renita Weems and all of those people, men and women who are out there doing the work of not just the church, but also the public square, the populace, right? That the issue is from a religious sensibility that you cannot be dogmatic when you're standing up for all people. And I think that's very important, right? Very, very important. But again, there are issues that are on this ballot, and not just the agency and the priority of women protecting their autonomy, right? But there is the educational system and this whole idea of teaching the Bible in school and prayer in school. And like I said to you before, and I won't mince words, whose theology? Whose theology are they going to be teaching? I know. I went to seminary. I know Dallas Baptist Seminary is not the same as the School of Theology at Samuel DeWitt Proctor School of Theology at Virginia Union. I know it's not the same. I know from what they teach. I know it from some of my classmates who transferred from Dallas to Virginia Union. I know it. It is not. It is not. Right? Because you don't hear a lot from black theologians in those settings. You don't hear a lot from Hispanic theologians. They call that, liberal theology. Liberal, right? So if ours is liberal because they are black and brown people who deal in those spaces, and theirs traditional? See, and automatically they say traditional as if to say a whole lot of their theology contradicts the early church fathers, who, by the way, were African. I just thought I'd add that in there, because that is the reality. But yeah, we got to do something. We've got to talk about, all of that. We've got to talk about education. What theology? Right? That they have a theology of, killing the migrant and, calling them illegal aliens. The former president said that they were animals. What? Are you serious? But yeah, that's what people are voting for. When the Bible says, if you read it, how we should treat the migrant, the immigrant, how we should treat those people as our neighbors with kindness, to share our bread with them, right? Listen, saints, we are not in the same realm of compassionate conservatism that the Bushes tried to bring in the 80s, in the early 90s. We are not there anymore. No, but this is a nativist, rabid kind of Christian perspective that melds itself in the charismatic. Because previously, the charismatic Pentecostal sectors did not even affiliate. But now, yeah, they're in it. And they're the ones that bring a level of spookiness to the whole thing. I'm a Pentecostal. I know. They bring a prophecy. They bring the whole prophetic, and the whole mysterious, the mysticism to this whole political sector. Yeah, exactly. That's what they bring. And so I look and I'm like, no, that's not what it is. But there's not enough of us that don't know what it is. And no, the same people that want to put the 10 Commandments and the Bible in school are the same people who voted against free lunch to those who can't afford a free breakfast. They voted against that. They knocked that down. Because who cares if a child comes hungry? That's against, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. A child can't learn if they're hungry. A child can't learn if they're not clothed properly, haven't had enough rest, didn't have a proper place to sleep. Oh, that doesn't mean anything. But by all means, let's teach them the Bible. That child is going to read the Bible and see that what you say or what you're doing is antithetical to Scripture. Oh, yes, that's what's going to happen. That is exactly what is going to happen. And we're going to be sitting there looking stupid. But we can stop that foolishness because my religion is not a weapon against people. Ooh, goodness. That's why I have a particular umbrage against Hebrew Israelites, because they can't have a discussion. They can't. That they use the word as a weapon. They use the Bible as a weapon against people. And that's not the way that it goes. That's not how it goes, y'all. Not at all. And so we've got to start thinking about, how our faith has, how our faith is being used or trying to promote it to be used as murderous devices to kill our fellow man, to control and subjugate them. Listen, I don't know how Byron Donald does it, because there are people in his party that don't believe a black man should marry a white woman. But here he is. He's in an interracial marriage. I don't know how J.D. Vance does it, because he's in a party that thinks that they should send all migrants and immigrants back to where they belong. But he married an Asian Muslim kind of wife. I don't know how they do it. See, again, because it really doesn't have to deal with faith. It's about control and domineering. Right? I do not see, how they can just believe in someone that's willing to sell the Bible for $69.99, but not live the Bible for free. Huh? I know it. But that's the kind of world we live in. That's the kind of world we live in. And I am just not of the persuasion culture call that it has to be that way. I think we have a responsibility. I want to say it again. I think we have a responsibility to say something, to allow ourselves to experience and to be a part of something greater with our faith, greater with our belief for all men, all mankind. And again, if you don't agree, I don't want to talk on the phone. I want to, come on. I got 2-3 mics in this studio. Come on. Let's talk about it. If you don't, how folks agree, then let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Get your Bible. I get my Bible, and let's open it up. Right? Otherwise, we've got to admit some things. Let me say it again. Otherwise, we're going to have to admit some things, some very hard truths. And that is, we are not as righteous as we think we are. We really, really do, yes, have purchased into the system of whiteness. And we really want to control people. And that is born out of an insecurity. That is born out of a stark averageness. That you don't see yourself as exceptional. You're masquerading as an exceptional individual. Exceptional people empower others. They do not restrict the agency of others when you are exceptional. So I don't ever have to silence a woman, because guess what? At the beginning and the end of the day, I'm a pastor. I'm the set gift. I'm the person that God puts there. But I'm definitely not going to say that God won't place a woman there. No, I'm not. That when you give more righteous credence, more religious credence to a donkey speaking to Balaam than you would a woman, we've got issues, man. You've got mad issues. That how you can honor Mary, the mother of Jesus, for bearing the word, but you can't honor Mary, the other Mary, for sharing the word when the men were in the house hiding from persecution. He first revealed his resurrected self to a woman. Yes, we need to talk about poverty. We need to talk about how can we empower our communities and build it, beginning with the church, of how we don't have to accept being the poor with America always. We don't have to accept that. We need to talk about systems of economic strength. We need to talk about how our money circulates. We need to create and allow businesses to thrive, grocery stores. We need to help, because in every other culture, their finances circulate in their community more than 6 times. Ours stays in our community about 30 minutes, right? So we can never create systems of structure, infrastructures of economic stability in our communities if our monies don't stay there. And I'm talking about more than just nail shops. I'm talking about more than just funeral homes. I'm talking about more than just beauty salons. I'm talking about restaurants. I'm talking about other businesses. That's what I'm saying. We've got to learn how to, yes, support each other. And then we've got to learn how to build up our businesses so they are worth supporting. I'm not going to just support you because you're black, especially when you have no quality. Especially, let me say it again, especially when you have no quality. We're not going to do that. That's not what we're doing. Right? So we can do it. As I say, as my elder says, Pop Watts, we do it better when we do it together. And this is the time in the season, Culture Call. As we discuss this week, public policy and personal theology, this is our time to rise up. Yes. And yeah, black women, this is time for you to save America. Black man, it's time for you to save America, to save this democracy for our children and our children's children. I believe it is time. We cannot just sit there and pray, rub our hands together and say the Lord is going to make a way somehow. You are the somehow way. I am the somehow way. We got to bring our young people along and say, hey, these images that you've seen on television, hey, I know you enjoy them and they have the agency to do what they want to do. I get it, because all of us had our day. But you're going to mature and grow up. You're going to have children. So you got to start thinking about what you want the world to look like now. And when we become a demographic of force, a demographic that understands its political power mixed with our faith and our deep spirituality, that says that we are all a part of God's human family first, that when we really get serious about our faith and we utilize it for good, then we're going to see something in this country. I promise you, we are going to see it. Yeah. And we are the people that can get it done. Don't you believe that? Absolutely. Listen, I see the runway. I got to land this plane, but I got a little bit more to go. I need you to keep it right here on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith. Praise 93.3 FM 790 WTSK, your inspiration station. Keep it right here. Don't miss it.
This is the world.
Listen, we have had an amazing day today. I'm telling y'all, we've had some conversation. I know it. And for some of you, I know it might have ruffled your feathers, and some might stretch you. You might have stretched you and say, hey, Bishop, I didn't even see it that way. Thank you for giving me something to think about. Listen, I'm not necessarily trying to convince you to see it the way that I see it, but I am trying to get you to understand that we have a responsibility to each other in this country, and to each other in our communities. And we must be about what I consider to be our Father's business, taking care of one another. No matter how you believe, I'll witness to you, I'll serve you, I'll show you my life to help you believe, to persuade you. But I need you to live, and I've got to be able to do that. That's what my promise to you. Here's what he says: owe no man but to love them. And loving them means to do what is best, to make a decision to do what's best for them. Listen. So listen, at the end of every phone call, my grandmama and my mama used to say, I love you a bushel, I love you a peck, and I love you a hug around the neck. Listen, until tomorrow, we're going to be right back here on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith. Praise 93.3 and 790 WTSK, your number one inspiration station. Keep it right here throughout the day, because you're going to be absolutely blessed by all of the programming. Listen, I want you to be at peace with everyone. Go and do your best to love and to empower each other, to embrace, to journey with each other, to understand that we all are a part of God's family. And I promise you, when we do that, God will be honored. Yeah, I really, really do believe that. And the world will be a better place. I need y'all to have a great day and meet me right back here tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We're going to be right here on the Culture Call. Y'all have a blessed day. Peace.